everyone. In the last one, we spoke about light and shadow on the earth and astrological analysis of what light and shadow mean with respect to the solstice and equinox points. And that's what drives the seasons depending upon where we are on the planet. In this one, let's examine the same chart, but now talking about a lesser unit of time called the day and night itself on a 24-hour basis. Okay, so in this one we are speaking or dissecting the time itself into a smaller unit of time. In the last one we spoke in terms of a year. Now here we are dissecting the time in terms of a day unit. Okay, just the unit of time has changed into a smaller unit of time, because the study of astrology is all about study of time. That's why it's called Hora Shastra in Sanskrit, science of time, study of Kala or study of time, and what system we are upon called the planet Earth and the Sun, and all these bodies that we assign esoteric meanings and names to. So unless we begin to understand a chart or an astrology as a science itself in these terms, we are not going to get very far. So this attempt is my humble attempt in that direction to kind of analyze this. Okay, so here we go. In the first one now here, we see about Earth in terms of day and the chart. I've superimposed the two. So you can see Earth as in terms of sunrise, sunset, noon and midnight, the four aspects of the day. Okay. So the ascendant or the rising sign or the rising zodiac sign, whatever we see, is the rising sign at the sunrise point, as you can see there. The noon is the highest point of the sun. As the sun rises, goes towards noon. You can see there, right? And from noon, it goes towards sunset. And in the midnight, it is lost on the other side of the earth. So it's dark here. So it creates that whole shadow effect on one side of the earth, while the other side is still up and kicking. And then from midnight, we go back to the sunrise. So this is dictating the movements of sun through what creates light and shadow on a daily basis. Now we are not talking about equinoxes or solstices. We are talking about a single day, sunrise, noon and sunset, and we are analyzing that. And with respect to planets, two main luminaries in the rest of the planet, sun and the moon, are the two luminaries as I have shown there. Now, when we speak of astrology as the science of time, time itself is dependent on movement. All the sense of time is created by movement. Movement of what we are talking about here astrologically. The movement of the earth itself, the rotation of the earth, the axis of rotation of the earth, and therefore creating a relative frame of reference of the planets around the earth. If you are moving in one direction in a circular motion, it creates a relative frame of reference of seeing the other planets as move in the opposite direction. Just like you're traveling on a bus, you go forward, you look out of the window and everything is moving backwards, right? Something like Einstein's theory of relativity and frames of reference here. That's as simple as it gets. So as you can see there, the earth is rotating in that direction from west to east. The earth rotates on its axis from west to east. Therefore, we see the sunrise coming from east to the west. Okay. The only funny guy over here in this picture is the moon, which moves in the opposite direction to all the sun, to the sun and the rest of the planets, right? As you can see there, it's indicated. This movement of the moon opposite to the sun and the rest of the planets, it is what creates the different phases of the moon. It's what creates eclipses and so on and so forth. And even the orbit of the moon is eccentric. It's not parallel to the plane of the Earth's rotation around the sun. This is what creates the node points the north node of the moon and the south node of the moon, which is also called as Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology, and that creates eclipse points. Okay, so now we come to the direction, as you see there. The sunrise therefore happens in the east, noon happens in the southern direction, and sunset happens in the west direction. Okay, so east and west are dictated basically, as we see, as sunrise and sunset, but the earth is actually rotating in the opposite direction. Always remember that. When we come to the next one, you'll see why that is important to understand. Otherwise, understanding a Vedic chart can get really complicated. And of course, the moon, the funny guy, is always going in the opposite direction to all the rest of it. This is also very important to keep in mind as we go forward. Why? Because the mind, as signified by the moon in Vedic astrology, says it's all about the mind. The moon is the closest to the earth, therefore it affects all of us most in any chart. Wherever the moon is, your mind goes there first, right? So, that being said, the movement of the earth is in one direction. In this case, it is shown as counterclockwise, and the rest of the planets are moving clockwise. Now the moon is also going in the direction of the earth, right, in this picture. Now we see the sunrise and sunset, the east and the west. With respect to the houses, this is not the Aries ascendant, this is the first to the 12 houses that you see there. The first house, the second, third, and so forth up till 12. So you might say the sun rises in your 12th house, first house of course, goes to the 12th house, 11th house, 10th in the reverse order. Simply because the earth is going in anti-clockwise direction as shown in this picture, and rest of the planets therefore seem to be moving in a clockwise direction. So although we call Ascendant as the first house, which we have indicated on the top there, Ascendant happens at the nakshatra and the zodiac sign, whatever rising sign is happening. That's why it's called rising sign. It rises with the sun. Everything on this plane happens with the rising and falling of the sun and rising and falling of the moon. Phases of the moon, so to speak. So it goes, sun is rising in your first house, goes directly to the 12th house, 11th, 10th, 9, 8, and so on. So it's going in the reverse order. Whereas when we go to the ascendant and we analyze the chart, it usually starts in the reverse order. 1, 2, 3, 4 is on the other side, in the midnight side, as you can see indicated here. Why is that? Why are we taking 1, 2, 3, 4 in the other direction? Because the earth where you are situated is moving in that direction. So we start our journey on the earth plane and it is moving in the anti-clockwise direction. And that's why all the signs which are indicated and the houses or the movement of a person through life is indicated in the anti-clockwise direction. You get that? So it's important to keep that in mind. We say first house, then we move to the second house, then third house, fourth house in a reverse order as compared to the movement of the sun. The sun is moving from first house to 12th house to 11th to 10th, and so are the rest of the planets. The moon, however, is going in the same direction as the earth, as you can see there. This is the reason why we even never see one face of the moon, because the rotation of the moon around the earth and the revolution of earth around its own axis is pretty much the same. So we are only seeing the one face of the moon. And this is why the moon creates all the eclipses, because of the eccentric orbit of the plane of moon's orbit, which intersects with the earth's orbit around the sun. That eccentricity creates the two lunar nodes. That lunar node's intersection, whenever sun or moon passes through that opposing each other, creates the solar and the lunar eclipse. Plus, moon is going in the reverse direction of the rest of the planets, including the sun. Relative to the earth, everything is a relative frame of reference. Time experienced itself is relative by each one of us. From sunrise to sunset, we experience time differently. And now in the new energies, as light workers, you must have felt time going very fast also. Yes? So we need to understand the science of time and how these dynamics are playing out between two halves of the chart when we are doing chart analysis. The left half being the night half and the right half being the day half. Whatever happens in the day side of the chart is more of your public presence. What you achieve, lose, gain, wisdom, knowledge, everything happens in this side. Whatever happens on the left side happens as a hidden means. Whatever you are acquiring for yourself, whatever is going on with you personally. So you can say it's self versus outer. And you can compare this even to the Cancer and Capricorn, 4th and the 10th house, 4th and the 10th signs of the zodiac, which we spoke of in the last one. So understanding this dynamic is very important in an esoteric way. Not in the way of predictions, but in an esoteric way. And 1st and the 7th house, we spoke of Aries and Libra in the last one as balance of light and dark. Right? Balance of light and shadow. Why? Again, because sun rises in that point in the east and sun sets in the west in Libra. You can say sun rises in Aries, sun sets in Libra. This is what we are studying as the dynamic of play of light and dark. Next, we shall begin the examination of the 12 houses, the 12 signs of the zodiac, and what are the qualities as told by the Vedic Astrology science. In the meantime, take care, be safe.